little bit of a different video format going on for the September wrap-up this year. I'm snacking on some Gardettos, and it's currently October 1st, which is my husband's birthday, and he has a twin, and his twin sister is throwing them like a joint horror movie, basically like a Halloween party for their birthday. So I am dressing up as Annabelle because I got my red hair now and I have her creepy nightgown and everything, but I was gonna go for like a spooky Annabelle, but now I'm kind of just wanting to be cute. So it'll be like a cute, creepy Annabelle. So yeah, I was about to get ready and I thought, you know what, why not just do my wrap up while I do this, because tis the spooky season, you know? So this is kind of going to be a get ready with me / wrap up. And I do want to preface this by saying I am not a makeup person. I like wearing it, but I do like really basic makeup. I don't care enough to buy non-drugstore makeup, and I also don't care enough to learn any proper techniques. So please do not perceive my makeup ability in this video. Just ignore anything I'm doing. If you actually know how to do makeup, pretend you didn't see this. So the first thing I read in September might be my least favorite thing of the year, which is kind of sucky. I think it's the only thing I've given a 1 star, because as I've said in the past, if something is a 1 star and it's like a full-length book, like, I'm just gonna DNF that. I'm not gonna sit through something that I know is a 1 star because life's too short for that. However, this was a graphic novel, so it didn't take that long to read, hence me finishing it and giving it a 1 star. And that was Blankets by Craig Thompson. This is a book that I have seen around so often, and like I always see it in Barnes & Noble, and it's always really expensive because it's super chunky, so there's a lot to it, you know, but it's like I'm never willing to drop that much money on this thing, and I'm really, really glad I didn't, because from the cover and the title, which might be on me because I straight up didn't know what this book was about, but based on the cover and the title, it looks kind of like a cute memoir about like a relationship or something cute like that, and it is not. I think this book, it just wasn't for me. It's not that it's objectively a bad graphic novel, but it just really was not for me, and that's okay. Ugh, where do I even begin? It felt like a white boy with really, really high self-esteem telling us his life story, but in reality it's like, who asked? Like, literally, who asked? And it's just like, who needs this perspective? And to have it be so long. So I don't know. And there was like some triggers for like physical abuse, like child abuse, and it was just a really weird time. And if you, like, the summary of it literally says, growing up explores the sibling rivalry of 2 brothers growing up in the isolated country and the budding romance of 2 coming-of-age lovers. Let me tell you, the romance in this was like 2%. 2%, and even then it wasn't really that cute. It just wasn't well done, and it was like, at the end of the day, I didn't care about this guy. And it was kind of like, why do I know so much about you now, you know? So that's basically all I have to say about that. It was just a weird time all around. So next I read volume 2 of the Sabrina the Teenage Witch series, the new graphic novel series, and it was really cute. I usually don't rate graphic novels unless they're like, I hate them like I did with Blankets, So I didn't rate this one, but I mean, if anyone's a fan of Sabrina, I think this, like, new series of it is really good, really fun. Lots of girl power, as you would hope and expect from Sabrina the Teenage Witch. And yeah, I think my only issue with this newest one was that it was very predictable in who the villain was. And it's like one thing if the villain is like, if it's predictable, but then like the way that it's revealed doesn't make it seem like it wasn't supposed to be predictable, you know? But the way it was revealed kind of made it seem like you're supposed to be shocked by it. And I was like, I don't know who over the age of 6 is gonna be like, oh, I never saw that coming. So that was a little disappointing. Other than that, it was really solid, and I'm really annoyed that now I have to wait forever for volume 3. Okay, next is, sorry, I know this thing's like flashing light on me. Next is Rule of Wolves by Leigh Bardugo, and Rule of Wolves was a time, because if you watched my previous wrap-up, you would know that I was pretty bored for the first half of King of Scars, and then the ending like shook me to my core, and I was like, I really need to finish this series now. And I already was going to because I love Nikolai, but the ending of King of Scars just like was incredible. So anyway, I went into Rule of Wolves like really excited, and I definitely think it paid off. It was honestly incredible. And I think Rule of Wolves is probably my favorite book in the entire Grishaverse now. And that's saying a lot because I really did love Six of Crows, but there's just something about Nikolai and Zoya and the fact that Rule of Wolves ties in so much with the original trilogy, and just like the ways that it did that, I thought were really, really well done. And I don't know. And I'm not even a huge fan of the original trilogy, so I can only imagine if you were, how amazing it would be. But even for me, it was like everything I could have wanted, honestly. And Zoya, I've said it once, I'll say it again, is such a badass. I love her so much. And it was just perfect. Honestly, perfect. One of the best, like, sequels I've ever read. So good. And I didn't necessarily feel that way about Crooked Kingdom. You want to know something unfortunate? I just realized I didn't put eyeshadow primer on. And I had gotten it specifically for this purpose because yesterday when I was wearing my eyeliner, it was like bleeding eyeliner onto my eyelids where I didn't want it. And so I got eyeshadow primer and I forgot to put it on. So I think I'm just gonna like weirdly try and put it on above this and hope for the best. But anyway, yeah, so that was Rule of Wolves. Honestly, incredible. Really, really glad that I read that and that like I'm all caught up with that universe. So if anyone wants to talk to me about Rule of Wolves, I'm here because I definitely feel like the Six of Crows duology gets a lot more hype and discussion, even despite the show, which I know obviously contributes to Six of Crows. Even despite that, for me, I think King of Scars was a superior duology, and let the record show that. Okay, don't mind me. I'm literally just gonna try and get this eyeshadow primer on my eyelids without getting it on my eyeliner. So far, so good. I hope you guys don't mind this hot mess of a wrap-up, but I just kind of wanted to do something different because I really love wrap-ups, but they can get very repetitive when the format stays exactly the same. So anyway, okay, I sort of managed to do it. I think that has to be better than not doing it at all. So I also just realized I was gonna put eyeshadow on and I put eyeliner on first because I got distracted by talking to you about books, and that's on me. So next, I read Fangs by Sarah Anderson. This is a graphic novel that Chloe from Books with Chloe had recommended and talked about in one of her videos, and I was like, yep. The cover, everything, it was just all around a really good time. It's about a vampire who falls in love with a werewolf, and it's less of like a narrative plot line and more of just like cute moments in their relationship, which I wasn't mad about, but I do think that's something that I probably would have wished I had known going in, that it wasn't going to be like a narrative storyline. There's just some really cute moments, and one of my favorite was this panel with, I forget what exactly they say, but it was like the two of them and they're like sitting on the couch, and they said it was something to the, like, it was the idea of like, let's watch a cute movie or something like that. And then the next panel is them watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which very much reminds me of me and my husband. So I thought that was very cute. There were a lot of like really cute, funny moments in there. So would definitely recommend that. It's also an incredibly quick read. I think I read that in like 10 minutes. It was very, very quick. I literally lost my powder brush, so I'm putting some powder on my face with a cotton ball. Okay, now that that's done, I need to try and figure out if I want to do fake eyelashes. I have done fake eyelashes in the past a couple times for theater shows, and I love them. I love the way they look and everything, but I have very sensitive eyes, and like half the time just with wearing mascara, within like 2 hours, my eyes get like really watery and just like dry and itchy, and they just hurt all day until I take it off. And I think like that's just my eyes. Like, you know, I've tried a bunch of different mascaras and all that. I think it's just the simple fact that I have sensitive eyes. So lashes always like make my eyes feel weird and irritated, but I am trying to be a doll, so I feel like I need to commit because I already kind of backed out of being a scary Annabelle. So I got these natural looking ones. I feel like those will be good. So I'm gonna do that off camera because I need to concentrate, and then I will come back and talk to you about the last 3 books that I read this month. All right, I'm back. I feel like you can't tell on camera, but somehow by the grace of God, I managed to pull it off again. I thankfully have never really had issues with like having to like take them off and reapply them, which is shocking because my makeup expertise is very limited. So I just kind of hope for the best, but it worked. Okay, next I read The Taking of Jake Livingston. And this was a book that I have been super hyped about ever since I saw a sponsored post that Chanel did on her Bookstagram. And it was basically just like the cover. I was immediately like, I need it. So I put it on hold at the library and I got it, and I ended up giving it a 3 stars. I was interested in it because I loved Horrid by Katrina Leno so much that I was like, I need to read another YA horror. I think it's partly just my fault because I didn't realize that it was a horror fantasy. And as you know, aside from the Grishaverse, I don't really read much fantasy because it's just not my genre. Yeah, so I didn't know that going in, so that was kind of a surprise. But it had a nice blend between like the horror elements and also like darker, more important discussions. It had a lot of like discussion about abuse and mental health. Huge trigger warning for like suicide, suicidal ideation. School shooting is a huge component of that. But my favorite thing, I think, was the discussion of the fact that our main character Jake is the only Black student at his school, and his whole community, the area where the school is very white. And so there was a lot of good discussion about like racism and microaggression and things like that I think is great, but it was mainly just like the magic elements that really threw me off because they just kind of seemed to be thrown in there with no explanation. Like, because the whole idea is that Jake can talk to ghosts. He can see ghosts and communicate. And there's like a bunch of ghosts and ghouls and all these kinds of things in his town. And he just kind of lives with it. But this one ghost in particular, which is the ghost of the school shooter, is haunting him. And he's trying to figure out why. But towards the like midway point, he starts realizing that he can like astral project and like do all these cool things to kind of like fight off these like demons and ghosts and ghouls and all that kind of stuff. And just like the way his powers worked were never really explained. And I don't know, it just felt very like an afterthought, which I don't know if it was. It definitely seemed like it for me just because I didn't even know it had like fantasy elements in there like that. But I don't know, it just kind of, it had a weird vibe, you know? And I didn't love that. So I ended up giving it a 3. Like I said, the like topics it discussed and all that I really loved. But there was just some, especially there was some action sequences where he was like fighting that really felt like they were like out of a Marvel movie. Like they were very like action-y and like superhero-y, which didn't fit with the tone or the mood of the rest of the book. So it was just all around kind of a weird time. So I gave that one a 3, but I'd still recommend it if that sounds interesting to you. And I do think if you like fantasy, you'll probably like it way more than I did. Because like I said, it's a very like subjective reading for me. Next, I listened to Emergency Contact by Mary H.K. Choi. And I gave this 4 stars. This is my first book by Mary H.K. Choi, and I kind of decided to just read her books in order that she wrote them after hearing so many good things, because I do enjoy YA contemporary, and especially when it has hard-hitting topics, which Mary H.K. Choi is like known for. And I also really love that she writes characters that are very realistic. Like, they're young adults, college age, and they just make mistakes. You know? They're not perfect, they don't say the right things, they think ugly thoughts, they put their foot in their mouths, and I personally really appreciate that because I just think it makes it more realistic. And, you know, I need to make this longer. And it's just nice to see kind of like a more realistic representation of that. And so I just really loved it. It just felt really honest, and it just makes me really excited to read the rest of her books because I feel like I'm gonna love them. That's like exactly the type of contemporary that I like, with kind of like morally gray characters. And it was a great time. And I also love that they were college age, so they weren't in high school like a lot of YA contemporary is. I feel like I look like the Wendy's girl right now. I just realized I should have measured the ribbon that I used on this side so that they were the same length, but I didn't, and it's too late for that. I need to leave like now. So, yeah, I'm definitely gonna try to leave in the next 5 minutes. We'll see if it happens. What? There we go. This braid is like longer than this one, and I think it's because I went back first on this side and not this side, but whatever. So then the last thing that I read was Final Girls by Riley Sager. And as of right now, I haven't even marked it as read on Goodreads yet because, like, I know I'm going to go to 5-star, but I still can't put into words what I loved so much about it. It was just definitely one of my favorite thrillers of all time. As you know, I already have a strong preference for thrillers as it is, but that one was just something else. Like, I mean, it follows this final girl who which, as you would expect, was like the last survivor of like a tragic mass murder. And it just talks so much about like true crime and like capitalizing on like people becoming famous for something terrible that happened to them, which then makes it really hard for them to feel like they can move on with their lives and feel like, you know, the world's not going to keep connecting them to this like traumatic thing. It talks a lot about toxic masculinity, and it was just, I mean, it had all the thriller elements, obviously, like, you know, suspenseful, like chill inducing, like creepy stuff, and then like a big plot twist, which I didn't see coming. But on top of that, it's incredible that it was written by a man, because the discussion about toxic masculinity and societal expectations of women, and it was just so empowering. Like, everyone was a girl boss. Like, the empowerment in that book was insane. I don't really want to give you more of the plot, because all I knew going into it was that it was about like a final girl and like her interacting with like other final girls who have survived other things. And I think that's part of what made it so great, was I was like surprised by everything. So I hesitate to, you know, give you more information than that. But just know, like, if you like thrillers and you want like a girl boss time, absolutely recommend this. It honestly, like, I cannot stop thinking about it, and I really, really want to get my own copy because I just want to annotate everything. Honestly, a contender for possibly my favorite read of the year. So September was a whirlwind because we had my least favorite book of the year, Blankets, and then this one, which might be my favorite of the year. I don't know, who can say? But yeah, I'm gonna go get my outfit, and then I'll show you it since you've been here with me on this journey thus far. And then I'll leave because I'm gonna start running late here soon. Hello. So this is the final getup. I realized that I need to have somebody zip up the back for me, so I'm gonna have to wait till I get there. But yeah, thank you for watching this kind of weird wrap up. Overall, I would say I had a good September reading month because I read Rule of Wolves and Final Girls, and those were just like top tier for me. So anyway, thank you for watching. If you made it to the end, leave a knife emoji. And as always, I hope you're doing well, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!